amazing things, as always. This is a primary school student who in 2012 was releasing his first album on the platform. It's an official album, he says. I don't know what his non-official work was. But you had primary school children releasing albums, just kind of amazing. And then this is a secondary school pupil who point systems were really big in his school, and so he created a house points graphic. And then what happened is that other teachers from around the community, there's kind of several thousand schools around the country who are using this, started to ask him for this house points thing that he did, graphic that he created. So he sent them the Photoshop file. The other teachers often didn't have Photoshop, so couldn't open the Photoshop file. So he designed some code. So he did some CSS, and he sent it to us. And he said, "Could you upload this to the site?" And we said, "Well, it's not that simple. But what you can do is you can come in for a week." So he came in for a week, and he worked with our coders, and he developed a module that's now on the site. So now when teachers approach him for it, he can actually give them the module. So this is a secondary school pupil. This is another guy from the same school. There's something in the water there. He's a guy called Lewis Phillips. Now the teacher moved on, who was running the site, who was overseeing it, and so he said, "Well, can I take it over?" So they said, "Well, yeah, okay, you can take it over as long as you report to us." So he took it over, and when in a couple of years he set up a media lab, he set up a kind of media curriculum as well, and he trained over 400 students in that school. Absolutely incredible. So he ran a media course within the school. He did so well that they eventually put him in for a teaching award, and he won it. He won a TS teaching award at the age of 16. He's then gone on to do even kind of more amazing things, which is another story. So this is fantastic. These are young people who are already kind of digitally fluent and doing kind of great things. I was in the States earlier this year, and this stat came up. It said that 80% of employers will Google an applicant before they come. That kind of makes sense to me. Probably, I mean, I do. Anybody who kind of works for us, I Google them first. But also 60% of employers will expect the young person to perform some sort of social media function within the organisation. That seems quite high to me, but maybe it's not. And even if it's half of that, it'd still be significant. And so it's really important that young people are prepared for this world, and that's a challenge actually, certainly at the schools, because the infrastructure isn't always there. How they are taught kind of will vary. So it is a challenge. But what's clear is that learning isn't just happening in schools now. Learning can happen anywhere. One of the things that I think I've really kind of noticed over the last couple of years is that this whole thing around badging and these micro-credentials. So now that if you're an eBay seller, you start to look for the trusted signs, just like Airbnb as well. You look at the reviews. These micro kind of credentials build up over time that add value. And this is something that's now going to go alongside learning in schools. The other thing is that learning is kind of, we silo it. Stuff happens inside of school and outside of school, online in MOOCs. There's professional development. It's all distributed, I suppose, or dispersed in silos. And there's a real opportunity. It's starting to come together. There's a real opportunity to bring it together more rapidly. And the thing that we've really caught on to, or the things that we're really excited about, is this whole idea of open badges. How many people here have used or heard? How many people have used open badges in the room? So there's still a few. How many had heard of open badges before today? Right. Okay. So there's a good number have heard of it, but only a few have actually used it. Yeah, it's interesting. Just a quick overview of how it works. These badges that are happening, that are being given in different sites like eBay or wherever, often kind of get caught within the site. They're really, really useful and really powerful within that site, but they are within that site. Well, the great thing that Mozilla have done with Open Badges is they've come up with a format, a kind of a protocol, so that if your site, and that's everybody here, if you want to issue an open badge, you just need to kind of go through their format, which is all open source, and then the earner, when they earn that badge, can push it to what Mozilla call a backpack, and so you can have badges from lots of different platforms all in one place. And then the exciting thing is that then you can put them wherever you like. So they form you can put them in your website, you can put them on your WordPress, you can put them on your CV. So the data belongs with you. And of course, with the backing of Mozilla, and their commitment to open standards, they're the right people to be in charge of it. So we got very excited about that. In terms of what's inside of the badge, the anatomy of a badge is a PNG file, but wrapped within that, there's metadata behind it. So there's the badge description, the criteria, the issuer, the evidence. So when you click on a badge, you can not only see what the young person had to do or you had to do to earn that, but you can see who's awarded it and links to the evidence that you actually had to produce for it to be there. So our objectives when we started out from a school's perspective were these. I won't read them out. And so what we were really interested to do was make a distributed model straight away. So we aren't the experts, teachers are the experts. So we asked them what badges they wanted to do, and we handed it over and created a simple badge baking tool for that. And these are the badges that they produced to start off with. Interesting, the first one was not a maths or a literacy badge, but was a peer support badge. One of the things one of the things that is really hard to recognise is helping other students, being supportive. If students feel supported and are happy where they are, there's lots of evidence to say that they learn quicker. Then there was a cup song badge. I don't know whether you've heard of the cup song. It's a very kind of complicated thing where you've got to tap out a clap a rhythm and move cups at the same time. There was a literacy champion badge. That was actually from a librarian. When I look at what's happening around the country, I see a lot of the creative stuff actually happening in libraries and coming from libraries. There was a ukulele star badge. There's a little bit more about that in a minute. I didn't even know how to spell ukulele before I saw this badge. There was a pivot animation one, and then an ancient Greeks badge. So what was interesting for me straight away is that these weren't technical badges. They went across the curriculum. And very soon we had a badge library, all with badges created by teachers. And it got quite exciting quite quickly, seeing what was coming through. So just really briefly how it would work in this context, the student can choose to take any of those badges from the library, so you can go to school and choose what you want to do, or you can, if you're a teacher, you can share that badge with your class, which is basically kind of giving them that badge to take. If you click on the ukulele badge, I really wasn't sure what was going to be there, but actually it's really, really in depth. Somebody's really thought about this. It goes from all the way from history to performing. That's a significant piece of work that you need to do in order to get that badge. You can add evidence, you can add any type of media for that. What we're seeing more and more is mobiles, apps being used to apply evidence. We're certainly using our app, and I know that it makes a lot of sense, especially when sometimes schools just don't have the equipment themselves as well. And if they do have them, they're tending now to, in our experience, to buy iPads rather than laptops or Google Chromebooks. And then the other great thing is that when you take a badge, you can see who else is taking it. And this whole thing about social learning and social impact is really, really interesting to me. And we see so much, we're seeing patterns of young people taking badges and then their friends taking the same badges. This is an example. Within 3 weeks, students have started finishing this ukulele badge. They've been through their first badge, and this is a really nice video. I won't show it now, of an animation showing the different parts of a ukulele. But what really interested me was the feedback that they got. So the teacher says, "Well done, simple 2-second job," and the student called Rock Chicker said, thank you, and there's a smile. It means something, there's a connection straight away. But then another student said, also gave a feedback and said, it was good, but it was a wee bit fast. Could you slow it down a bit? And then the student said, yeah, great, I'll do that next time. And then the next comment was from another teacher. She was obviously the ukulele teacher, because there's a picture of a ukulele as her profile picture. And she said, I'm so impressed with this. I'm going to need to show the funders. They will love this. I think she forgot she was talking to this student as well as the other teacher. And of course, the student, Rock Chicker, was pleased with that. And it's this kind of the social side, the interconnection that suddenly happened. It has real meaning and purpose. Another example, just kind of off the back of that, was we were asked by Gordon and Sarah Brown's office to highlight the Malala campaign. You'll be familiar with Malala. She was the girl who was shot by the Taliban. And we said, yes, we can do that. We can kind of send messages out to the community. But what would be really powerful is if you gave us the permission to have a digital badge for Malala, so that we can give to the students if they do some work. So we asked the students, we set them a challenge. We said, send a message of support to Malala and say why education is important for you. And we had hundreds of kids around the country creating videos, writing blogs, and it was a real purpose. It was something that they felt ownership with, and it opened up the classroom. And they, as a result, got something to recognise that achievement as well. They got the digital badge. This is just an example. You can see down on the right-hand side the badge that these two girls have got. And then if you click on that badge, you can see links to the evidence of the work that they'd done. And Sarah Brown nicely kind of tweeted out the good examples. And they were thrilled, and they gave those to Malala before she spoke at the UN, which was a really powerful thing. And since then, there have been lots of badges awarded. There's now over 1,000 badges that have been put into the badge library by teachers that students can choose to take and teachers can choose to share. We started looking at the stats behind this to see the impact of these badges, and it's still early days, and we're still kind of working out kind of quite what it is. But what we can see is that when badges are awarded, suddenly there's a big influx. There's people sharing them, there's other students taking them. Digital Me, some of you may be familiar with. Tim spoke here last time, who heads up Digital Me, and they've done a commissioned a report which is coming out soon. It's not quite out, so I can't share it with you yet. But there's some really interesting insights there. So if you are interested in that, do let me know. Looking at the value for young people and organisations and employers, and that question of value is really important. People say to me, badge? How valuable is that? Well, it's as valuable as the people who get behind it, I think, is the answer in short. And there's some really exciting people getting behind it. So we've got people like ILM, we've got the Duke of York's office, O2, recognisable names that are getting behind it and exploring it for themselves. Just want to tell you about a couple more things. First is a new project called IDEA. It's with the Duke of York's office and Nominate Trust. And it's a bit like, I probably shouldn't say this, but it's a bit like the Duke of Edinburgh kind of scheme, where you do the Outward Bound course. It's kind of very highly regarded. But this is for digital enterprise and entrepreneur skills. And there's two parts to it. One is the competition, with the Dukes kind of looking on approvingly. And it's not bronze, silver or gold, although it looks quite like it. It's Discovery, Beta and Live. And how it works is that anybody from the age of 14 to 25 can apply for this, whether they're in school or college or out of college. They've got to come up with their idea, a little business plan to go along with that. If they get through the first stage, they're awarded a badge and get on to the second stage. If you get to the second stage, you've got to produce a prototype. And then there'll be a few that get on to the gold phase, probably kind of 10, 15. They'll get funding and support, and then the winner will get £15,000. So suddenly we have something that's really, really valuable really quickly. But equally exciting to me is that there's a whole load of digital skills badges. Now these are really kind of well-known companies: Salesforce, Microsoft, will.i.am, O2. all of these organisations are setting challenges, small challenges that anybody can take, any young person can take, and if they get through the challenge, they get a digital badge from that organisation. Well, that's really interesting, isn't it? That connection directly to the young person from the organisation. What's that going to mean going forward? It's interesting and really exciting. You can see how these badges can kind of develop. So you could actually potentially get accreditation from one of these organisations that might actually help you get work or might get open an interview. I was just talking to Jonathan very briefly before about the photography project. I can't remember which one it was now, but if you go through 3 lessons, then you will get open badges for that, which will then give you an interview. Is that right?
It's Phonon Nation. It's 5 classes, and anybody doing the 5 classes automatically qualifies for a guaranteed interview at the university.
How exciting is that? So you can do that independently. It's really opening up that connection directly to the organisation or person you want to connect with. ILM are doing some really exciting things and prototyping badges for attending events and their accredited trainer program. Grant, who's second row here, you talk to him about that and kind of find out more from the kind of horse's mouth. But that's, again, I think, huge value to the open badge community. And then just kind of briefly, we're now kind of starting to look at, now that there is currency in the market and now that there are badges out there, we're starting to think about, well, okay, how do we make these badges more discoverable and how do we connect them to young people or individuals to employers? So we're starting the Open Badge Academy next year. And we're looking to get lots of people around us who want to do it with us. So if you are interested, do let me know. And finally, I wanted to show you a short video from MozFest. Have we got 2 minutes left? Yeah. MozFest is a festival this year run by Mozilla, and it's about the open web and about a bit about badges. So let me play it to you. It's only 2 minutes long.
Open badges came into being about 4 years ago. We were starting to think about how learning could be acknowledged kind of wherever and whenever it was happening. Learning doesn't necessarily stop as soon as you leave a formal institution, but instead continues.
Learning is happening all across the web, and people are discovering knowledge, they're teaching each other, they're learning from each other. Open Badges actually is an open credentialing system that recognizes learning, that works like the web, that everybody could use.
The reason for using open badges is that the data stays with the young person. It's not caught in any platform, it stays with them for life.
Open Badges for us provides a really unique opportunity to reward young people through the means of digital in a unique way that can show them value, can show employers value, and it becomes a really important currency that people can use in the digital world. This is something you can take with you and something that you can use as recognition and to show other people what you've achieved.
Credentials only matter if they're tied to things that people actually learn. So what's exciting with things like the Duke of York project here in the UK is real skills, real learning opportunities connected to recognition through badges.
We currently have 10 badges endorsed by industry: Microsoft, Barclays, Salesforce, KPMG, designing badges. Open badges really are critical to increasing young people's awareness around digital and enterprise skills and really open up their minds to show that anything is possible.
Open badges are so important because they can apply to anything, really. Right from den making to maths, it really means that the young person can follow their interest. There's just a huge breadth of things that you can get involved in. Whatever you're interested in, you can find a badge for it. Open badges are being used extensively across the MakeWaves platform.
MakeWaves is really nice for us because it provides a platform for all of our Think Big badges to be there in one place. But it's already well established. It has a really good user engagement process already.
The MakeWaves platform and their community is just something that we at IDEA really aspire to be like. They have a really great connection with schools and they really have the same vision as we do.
MakeWaves is a really useful platform, I think, because of the experience they've got within the academic space. It's really important that we have a trusted partner and a trusted guide in this area, and for them to be able to use those relationships they've got to really make sure that badges are effective and work, and working alongside employers like O2 I think Make Waves will be really in a great position to make Open Badges the success that it will be.
So, just to conclude, I think it's amazing to see what's happened just over this short period of time. It's only been kind of happening for 2 years. And there's great opportunities to connect the individual to the organisation. And it's all open and available for anybody in this room to use, and I would encourage you to explore it.